19 things you should pack and do to make a long flight feel short. I don't know about you. As a flight attendant, I am very intrigued because every flight feels like a long flight. The only flights I like are the half-hour ones. Those are my bread and butter, baby. Hey guys, it's Erica from America, your favorite flight attendant, and today is Travel Tuesday, where I react to something about travel. Today, I am looking at Aly Smalls. She has 215,000 subscribers, and she posted this video October 24th, 2024. So 10 months ago, it said. This is under travel tips, tricks, and hacks, and she's got a lot of products that she's recommending in here. Let's see if we can find out something about Aly real quick. Real-world tested device on packing light, flying carry-on only, and creating unique travel guides and itineraries, specializing in little-known travel hacks, top carry-on bag reviews, and hidden gems in popular destinations. I aim to be a trusted resource for efficient, stress-free travel and memorable adventures. I am definitely intrigued. Let's go ahead and watch her video. I don't know about you guys, even as a flight attendant, even when I have to ride as a passenger, these flights feel incredibly long. Let's see if I'll learn something today.
Here are the top things I would do to avoid the worst parts of flying so that your next flight, especially if it's long haul, is comfortable, anxiety-free, and feels shorter than it is. I'm going to cover everything you should pack and wear, as well as airport tips you may or may not know, and things like seat selection and how to minimize jet lag. First, let's start with the 12 things that I recommend you pack for your next flight. And these are all things that I personally use and have tested myself. Number 1 is this new style of travel pillow. I recently tried it on a couple of flights, and it is a complete game changer for sleeping on the plane. It's more of a head and neck stabilizer instead of a traditional pillow, but it's perfect if you're prone to the dreaded head bobbing. Here's how it works. You just attach the back part to the headrest on your seat, so the person behind you isn't affected at all. And then you Velcro on this eye mask part. So essentially your head and neck stays perfectly stabilized, and then you get to use this blackout eye mask. So no more neck kinks. I slept hard with this thing on, and honestly, the only reason I woke up was because I could start to hear the flight attendants kind of slamming the doors as they were preparing meal service. I would say it does take a little bit of getting used to because you're essentially just kind of strapped in, and you do feel a little bit of pulling as you're kind of just settling in and getting comfortable, but after a couple of minutes, you're in complete blackout, you're comfortable, you'll fall right asleep. Now, if you don't like this style of pillow, I still recommend bringing an eye mask to use. And this is for a couple of reasons. Number 1 is if you want some sleep, but your neighbor has the window shade up or their reading light is on. But the second reason is, I find it never fails that when the cabin is dark, someone around you is watching an action movie, and so their screen is 90 minutes of bright flashing light, so a blackout eye mask is a must.
Hold on. Let me show you what I take with me. Real quick, this is what I actually got as my neck pillow. And I got it from Target. I think it was like $10, I don't remember. But it's basically like a long sock, and you can stuff clothes and whatever you need in there. And I really like it because you can make it as thick or as thin as you want. There is a little snap in here. Turns all the way out. And then you just snap it around your neck. When you wake up, you can put it on the side. I was using it on my armrest. I just laid it on my armrest, put my arm there. Comes in very handy. You could probably make something of this like your own. All you really have to do is some kind of sock. But this is really nice because it's kind of like a windbreaker material. It kind of wicks away if you sweat. The other thing that I got that I highly recommend are these eye masks right here. Now you can see I bought this a year ago. I actually bought this for my cousin for a wedding gift. That's how much I like this. My cousin, when he got married, he had never really lived with a woman before. He was a little concerned, so I said, you have to have this. Unfortunately, I can't find mine right now. I'm not sure what I did with it. But if you'll notice, it's got buttons on the front right here. These are music control buttons. And you can see it's got headphones. And I love this one because it's padded on the eyes, but these headphones, you don't feel them when you sleep. I'm very sensitive when I sleep. When I have to sleep with earplugs because the air conditioner or the hotel is too loud, I love these because it'll hold the earplugs in so I don't have to worry about them falling out. This thing is fantastic. It's very soft and gentle. Your partner doesn't hear the sound when you're listening to it in bed. So I love this for at home. I love this for on the road. This is my go-to, and I will link it in the description below. I just bought it on Amazon. So let's get back to the video.
Along similar lines, I like bringing lightly shaded sunglasses. If a lot of people have their windows open, it can be really bright at 30,000 feet, so this really helps alleviate eye strain. Next is my...
Here's what you need to think about. If you have sunglasses like this, and you put them on the plane, when you sleep, the light still comes in sideways, and the window is usually on the side of you, so you're still going to get the light in. It's not going to help that much. Instead, what you want is something like this. And these are kind of like glasses you would get for motorcycle riding, but you can get them anywhere. And then these ones come around the side more on all angles. So if you're going to take the time to get sunglasses, try to get the kind that go around the side of your face more. It'll help more on the plane.
Next is my foot hammock to elevate my feet on a long flight. It is so much more comfortable if you can do this. I've talked about this lots since I use it all the time. All you do is just slip it over the metal bars behind the tray table on the seat in front of you. You can adjust the length for depending how short or long your legs are. And as long as you're not swinging and kicking your feet, which you shouldn't be anyway, you'll just be resting them in the actual hammock part, the person in front of you will have no idea that you're using it. I think this is way less disruptive than kicking children behind you or people who are constantly grabbing your seat for leverage to help them stand up. I've never been asked to not use this. I've used this for probably 3 years now, but just know that you cannot use it during takeoff and landing.
Okay, wait. I definitely have an opinion on the foot hammock. Me, personally, I hate it. I really hate it. I bought it thinking, oh, that sounds like a really cool idea. And I tried it. And after one use, I donated it because I had ordered it. And by the time I remembered to use it, it was too late to return it to Amazon. Let me show you why I hate it. Imagine you're sitting in a plane and the chair in front of you is right here. Because most of these seats only have about a 31 to 32 inch space if you're in economy for most of the airlines. If you're flying international, you might get a little bit more room. You might not. Depends on how cheap your ticket is. Basically, the point is the back of the seat is right here. The hammock hangs straight down. Your feet are like this. Not like this, because the height of the seat will keep you from extending your leg. So all you can really do is let your feet hang straight down. If you're short and your feet don't touch the ground, the foot hammock is a great option. But if you want to stretch your legs out, it's not going to work. What a better option is to get like a backpack or a cooler or something like that that's soft and squishy, that doesn't fill up the entire space between the ground and the bottom of the seat. And then you can kind of put your feet on that under the seat and it'll help you extend farther out. That's what I do when I travel. Like I said, I tried the foot hammock, absolutely hated it, sent it back. Instead, it's better to go with like a backpack or a cooler. Just don't overstuff it. Or if you are going to overstuff it, put another bag in there so you can take half the stuff out and stick that in the overhead with your other bag.
Over the ear or earbuds will do. I prefer the over the ear since they're more comfortable, but if I don't have a lot of room or weight allowance in my personal item bag, these little earbuds work perfectly fine. Just make sure they have the noise canceling feature. This is pretty standard on most newer models of earphones and earbuds. Even if you don't plan to watch a movie or listen to music or an audiobook, that drone of the airplane noise is pretty exhausting after a while, so blocking out that really helps with minimizing fatigue.
Okay, I haven't actually tried the noise canceling headphones. I have tried regular in-ear headphones and over-the-ear headphones. Me personally, I prefer the in-ear headphones because it does help keep your ears from popping too much on ascent and descent. I've done the over-the-ear ones. For me, that's not incredibly comfortable. That eye mask I was telling you about, I might wear that on the plane if I want to sleep, but I'll probably have my headphones in underneath because mine are portable. I'm definitely going to try the noise canceling one since she's recommending it. And in a future video, I'll let you know if I liked it or not.
You bring your own wireless headphones. Many planes still use the cord plugins, so you'll have to bring a Bluetooth adapter if you want to watch the in-seat entertainment. I'll link to the one that I use. I just got it off of Amazon. It's pretty small and really easy to use. And you can connect 2 sets of headphones to it, so you and your travel companion can watch the same movie together. My latest favorite...
Okay, real quick. Most of the domestic flights are removing the monitors from the back of their seats just because the airlines have decided it's too expensive to constantly try to fix them. Apparently they're breaking down quite often. On top of that, most people are going to watch their tablets or their phones or their laptops anyway, so the airlines just decided there's no point in us having those on there anymore. They are keeping them for international flights as far as I know, but if you're flying domestically, You don't really need that unless you want to share your laptop's soundtrack, if that makes sense. That one I would skip.
Favorite travel gadget is this ultra slim charger. If you have a bulky phone charging block like mine, if you come across some well-used plugins, they get really loose and sometimes this brick won't stay in, especially on planes because sometimes the plug-in is at a bit of an angle. So this little guy is the size of a few credit cards put together, and then it's got 2 USB-C ports. So if there's only 2 chargers between 3 seats on the plane, it's not a big deal. And then it's great once you're in your destination. So sometimes when you're at the hotel, you'll find that the closest plug-in to the bed is actually behind the bed frame. So when you've got like a thick charging block that sticks out, it literally doesn't fit, versus this little slim guy will fit perfectly fine. Or like on my recent trip to Cancun, the plug-in at the bedside table was so loose that my charger literally wouldn't stay in. I plugged it in and it would just fall right out of the wall. So we had to get books and the TV remote and just stack it up underneath so that it would stay held in.
Real quick, my options instead of that, this big old mess. And yes, it's a big old mess. I prefer, it is a fast charger and it's got USB ports and C ports. It's got about a 3-foot cable to plug into the wall. I usually plug this into whatever's on the nightstand, but there have been times I've had to reach behind the bed and plug it in behind the bed, especially because I want my phone next to the bed when I charge at night. But there have also been times that I will plug it in by the television, especially when I take my Fire Stick with me, because the Fire Stick I like to watch TV, so that's what this red cable is for. This one is the type that goes and plugs into a Fire Stick, and a lot of times you can't reach the plugs behind the wall of the TV, so you have to go for the nearest plug, which can be really far away. This one is 3 feet and this one's about 3 feet. I have literally stretched this to its limit to plug in the Fire Stick. But the nice thing about these is I can pull any of these out. And what she didn't quite point out on the plane is a lot of the planes do have chargers like this, but the other thing is they almost always now have some type of USB plug. And it's usually either in the back of the seat or it's down in the plug itself. So that plug that she was showing is a little bit older. It can work particularly well with a plug like this. And then a lot of times what I'll do is if for some reason it's not staying in, I'll just kind of spread these apart just a little bit. And that does help it to stay in, which I know, crazy, why would you do that? That's what I do for a plug. Let's see what else she's got.
All right, now what type of clothing or outfit should you wear? This is really subjective, but the most important thing is that you want to be comfortable. And so for this, I recommend layers. Pretty much everyone will tell you that. So here is a standard flying outfit that I wear. I'll wear either these travel pants, which are loose and flowy, or black leggings, and then a t-shirt and a sweater with a hood. Now for the pants, I usually hover between the 2 choices, but it really depends. I usually like a tighter fitting legging because they just kind of keep everything snug, and for me that's more comfortable, but some days I'm not feeling it and I'll wear this style of pant. Either way, whatever bottoms you choose, make sure your pants don't drag, because at the end of a long flight the bathroom floors just get so gross, like wet everywhere. So just make sure your pants aren't dragging on the ground. And then I like hoods so that I can be cozy and hide myself when I don't want to be bothered. So just make sure you have some sort of short sleeve underneath in case you do get hot. And ideally a good thing to think about is either a sweater or a jacket that has deep zippered pockets. This is important if you're traveling solo and you want to get up to go to the bathroom. This way you can keep your valuables with you.
I mentioned this in my book, Flight Attendant Secrets, that I published earlier this year. And if you haven't heard me say it before or you haven't got the book yet, here's something that you really want to know when you think about what you're going to wear to the airport. Are you ready for it? Because this is a big airline secret. Gate agents are told to give the empty upgrade seats to people who are dressed nice. Sorry, that last word came out a little loud, but seriously, say there's extra first class seats available and they have to pick between who to upgrade and who not to. Now, not every flight leaves with their first class completely full. So what they'll do is they will look for the premium members first, the ones that fly the most, like their top ones, and they'll go down to like their second ones. And then they will go to crew, they'll go to military, and obviously anybody who's paid for the upgrade is in there as well. But assuming that the people that have paid for upgrades have already been seated and there's still extra seats, whether in first class or business class, the gate agents are instructed to look for those top tiers first And if they don't find anyone, they find somebody who's dressed businesslike. And I have literally flown before as the first class flight attendant and had 4 people in my first class when there's 12 seats. And I turned to the gate agent and I said, "You didn't have anybody upgrade?" And she said, "Nope." I said, "Nobody was dressed nice?" She said, "Nope." Everybody was wearing yoga pants and pajamas on that flight. And so we literally flew with 4 people in my first class. And it happens all the time. The gate agents look for somebody who's dressed businesslike, and then they will be more likely to give them the free upgrades. A lot of times it's necessary for weight and balance purposes. So if the weight and balance needs to be moved forward, they will immediately start looking at who's sitting at the gate, who's dressed nicely. So if you dress nicely and you let them know, "Hey, if there are any free upgrades, I'd be interested." As long as you're dressed nice, you have a better option. Now, here's the other thing. The planes get really cold. It doesn't matter if it's hot in the summer or freezing cold in the winter. They're pretty much cold all year long. And the reason for that is because hot planes make people throw up and cold planes make people sleep. So what I recommend, this is what I have. It's nice and thin and it's Cuddle Duds. I actually bought this from the men's section. It's very thin material, and you can find something like this in basically your exercise section. This one, because it's men's, it looks really baggy and frumpy on me, but I don't care because the material is very, very silky, very, very thin, and it's a thermal material. So no matter what time of year I wear it, it keeps my body temperature right in the range of what I'm comfortable with, which is why Cuddle Duds is 100% my favorite company when it comes to wearing thermals. Something like this can literally help me in the coldest winter. I buy their thermal leggings every year to go under my uniform. I've worn them under my tights, literally. But if you get something like this, the exercise section is good because of the wicking features that they have. The material is thinner, it's more flexible. You can shove this in your bag, and when you pull it out, it doesn't look that wrinkled. So keep it in your bag, dress businesslike at the gate, and then once you get in, throw this on over your clothes to stay warm. And the other tip too is, this one doesn't have it, but if it has pockets, try to get the zippered pockets, because if you get zippered pockets and you put your keys and your ID and your wallet in there, your cell phone in there, you zip it up, and for TSA, you just throw it into one of the bins and you got all your stuff there, and then you pick it up, put it back on, and away you go. Something like this you have to have. You could do a sweater if you want, but sweaters are bulky. You could do a sweatshirt again. Sweatshirts are bulky. It's going to take up a significant amount of room in your bag. I far prefer an exercise jacket made of a wicking material to help me stay warm, and they're usually much more attractive. They also often have zippers. But anyway, let's go on to the next part.
Speaking of getting hot, a handheld fan can be a lifesaver if you're prone to getting hot on the plane. I used this on 2 different flights on my recent trip. The first time was because our connection through the Paris airport was super tight, so unfortunately we had to run to the gate. And so by the time we sat down, we were just sweating almost, since the air vents didn't get turned on until takeoff.
As somebody who has begun menopause, I have opinions about this. Here is my fan, and it's perfectly flat, so I can just stick it in the bag. Now, she was holding a handheld fan, which I've seen on Amazon. I did buy one to try it. It was kind of loud. And this one, as you can see, is not. I've literally got this up next to the microphone. That's low, medium, high. As I said, I'm very sensitive to sound when I sleep. And the reason I like this one is I will put it on the bed next to me, because as a flight attendant, I'm usually sleeping in the bed alone. Well, not usually, always. I'm always sleeping in the bed alone because my family doesn't come with me. You can turn it sideways and have it stand sideways, or you can have it stand like this and it holds up really good. And there have been times that I got up in the morning and didn't even realize it was on and just happened to hear it. This one is battery powered. I did put some tape over the lights. If you get one, which I'll link it in the description below, get the black one, because I also bought the white one, and the white one glows blue at night, even if you cover the lights. The black one does not, because I'm sensitive to light as well. This one supposedly lasts 8 to 20 hours on battery power. It's rechargeable. And there have been times that I woke up in the morning and it was off. I would say on low, it probably lasts about 10 to 12 hours generally.
I also wear compression socks, usually on any flight over 4 hours. Not only do they help prevent or at least minimize swelling, which can be really uncomfortable, but they're also really important to help decrease the chance of developing blood clots as well. And one trick I like to do to also prevent swelling is to draw the alphabet with my legs when I'm sitting in my seat.
The compression socks, I do agree they can help. Here's what you need to know though. I have very sensitive feet. If you have very sensitive feet at all, you want to put them on at the plane. Maybe even as soon as you sit down in the plane. I would even recommend that you do it while you're sitting at the gate, but you don't want to walk around in them because they will rub your feet raw. So wear them before you get on the plane or as soon as you get on the plane because it'll help with the pressurization when you go up and down. But take them off as soon as you start walking through the airport again. Otherwise, you're just going to hurt your feet.
And finally, my little Vicks Vapo inhaler. It's no fun being stuck sitting next to someone who may or may not smell the freshest at times. So if that happens, I'll usually pull this out and breathe in a bit of minty freshness. And it also helps kind of wake you up too.
Okay, the Vicks Vapo inhaler, that could actually be useful. I would probably try that one. If you ever do get stuck next to somebody who stinks, what I've had to do is generally when you turn the fan on, kind of direct it towards them a little bit and it'll kind of blow the scent away from you, which does help. You can also ask a flight attendant if you could get like a pack of coffee, just the dry pack, and then open it and stick it in your seat pocket because that does kind of help desensitize the smell to your nose, which is why one day you might walk into an airplane bathroom and notice that there's a bag of coffee hanging on a hook in the bathroom or sitting on the counter. That's because flight attendants use that as deodorizers and it works in a bathroom, so it can work while sitting next to someone as well. If you don't want to ask a flight attendant for something like that, then get your own pack of coffee. Especially if you're in a hotel, you can get those little round packets that are kind of like tea bags. And literally that's all you need to carry. If you're staying in a hotel, you can get that for free.
I recommend that if you don't have TSA pre-check or are flying internationally, check online to see if the airport you're flying out of offers some sort of express option where you can pre-book yourself a spot in the security line. So for example, at Toronto Pearson, this program is called YYZ Express, and it's completely free. You just book yourself a spot and you'll get a QR code to scan to enter a separate lineup. Now, some airports do charge a small fee for this service. Recently, I flew out of Lisbon in Portugal, and so I bought the fast track pass for €9. To me, this was super worth it because we saved ourselves at least 20 or 25 minutes. To find out if the airport offers this, I would just Google the airport name plus something along the lines of Express Security Line or Fast Track or something similar. Not every airport will offer this, but it's definitely a growing trend, so you never know.
You know, that's really interesting. I have not seen that yet, but I think the reason that I haven't seen that is because I go through what's called KCM, which stands for known crew member, or I go through a special crew line. I'm not held to the same standards as most passengers unless I'm wearing street clothes. So that's actually a really good tip. And I wouldn't be surprised if all of the airports start doing that soon. It's kind of a trend. One is doing it and one is making money, then the others will follow. So that's actually a really good tip that I would definitely recommend.
Now let's talk about jet lag. As far as how to beat jet lag, this is a tough one, but there are a few things that I do to minimize the effects. If it's an evening or overnight flight, I try to get up as early as possible on that day and do a decent amount of exercise to tire my body out. This will vary for everyone, but for example, for me personally, I'll do a heavy weightlifting session and then a nice long walk or get in as many steps as I can that day, so that by the time I'm on the plane, my body is physically tired and wants to go to sleep. If possible, I also try to not plan anything for the first day in my destination. So if you can give yourself a bit of a buffer day to just chill, that really helps. And if not, walking, getting sunshine, and staying hydrated will definitely make a difference. I find...
Okay, real quick. I do have some opinions about jet lag, both internationally and domestically. She said get up as early as possible, and I'm not sure if she means the day that you fly or the day that you land. But here's my recommendation. Most international flights seem to leave later in the evening or at night so that people will sleep on the plane throughout the night. And then you don't sleep well. The last time I flew to Paris last year, my leg was twitching like crazy when I was flying like a passenger. It was, I think, like an 8-hour flight. And for some reason, out of the blue, just one of my legs decided to just jerk every minute. And I was completely miserable. But basically, my general rule that really works, because I've traveled internationally several times, is you're going to sleep terribly on the flight. If you're flying from, say, America to Europe, you're going to wake up in a different time zone. It's going to be several hours difference. What you want to do is you want to stay awake as long as you possibly can through dinner. You go, you drop your bags off at the hotel, and you just immediately start exploring. One of the things that I heard from a travel guru that I always liked was just go out and start exploring the area around your hotel and look for toiletries. Look for things that you might need that you didn't pack. This person would purposefully not pack those items so that he would have a reason to go out and explore the area. And I did find once when I was in Fiji that I wasn't able to use my allergy meds in Fiji. In Fiji, they would back burn their farms. And so there was so much local pollen in the air. And I tried my stuff and my stuff didn't work. I even did Benadryl and I ended up sleeping for like 2 days. Still woke up with a swollen face. And I eventually went into one of their pharmacies and asked, and they recommended this one over-the-counter product that worked like a dream. And the rest of the trip was fantastic. So when you first land in a place, if you've never been there before, you might want to go out and look for toiletries. You might want to hit up a pharmacy nearby, especially if you're prone to allergies. And you might want to say, what do you recommend for allergies in this area? And then just stay awake as long as you can. Try to get through dinner. If by 7 or 8 o'clock you feel like you're going to crash, go back to the hotel and crash. You will probably sleep like 12 hours and you'll wake up around 8 or 9 in the morning. That's what I recommend for international jet lag. Now, domestic jet lag, remember I'm a domestic flight attendant. A recommendation for domestic travel, if you want to be able to adapt quicker and there's only a 2 to 3 hour time difference, what you need to do is don't even turn on the TV when you get into the hotel room that night. If you turn on the TV, you're going to get all that blue light, and that blue light is going to keep you awake. So leave the TV off. Close your curtains. If you're traveling from east to west, then you're getting a couple extra hours. So you might find that you're tired sooner, and you could just go with it. You could just go to bed your regular time, wake up in the morning, throw open the curtains, start your day earlier. That might work for you. For me, I'm not a morning person. I hate the thought of being up before 10 a.m. But when I go to California, I'm usually up around 8 and I'm okay with that. And I'll just get up and I'll get moving. And I'll find that I'm hungry and everything else about 2 hours before I would be for that local time. Now, if you're going from West Coast to East Coast, you're basically losing 2 to 3 hours. What you want to do is you want to immediately adapt to their time, not yours. If you try to hang on to what you do in your time period, you're going to be hit with jet lag hard. For example, if you normally eat dinner at 7 o'clock in California and then you go to New York, you want to eat dinner at 7 o'clock in New York, even though you won't be hungry, because that'll be 4 o'clock in California time. Do it anyway, just eat a smaller meal to try to get you through the night, and then try to go to bed around 10 o'clock their time. And that's where not turning on the TV and closing the curtains can help, because if you do that, as soon as you enter your room, that signals to your brain that it's time to start winding down. When you get up in the morning, get up on their time zone, throw the curtains wide open, try to go outside as soon as possible, and all of that can help you adapt much quicker. One rule of thumb I usually do is, let's say I wake up at 7 in the morning and I don't have to be up till 10. If I have an extra hour and a half to sleep, then I will try to get that extra hour and a half to sleep to go from 6 hours to roughly 8 hours. But if I have to get up at 8 o'clock and it's 7 o'clock, then I just get up at 7 o'clock, because your body needs about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get you through the next level of the circadian rhythm. Basically, if you don't have at least an hour and a half to sleep, then just make yourself get up and you'll be much less tired than if you go back to sleep, set an alarm for an hour, and then wake yourself up with the alarm. So that's my opinion on domestic jet lag versus international. Let's see what else she has to say.
I recommend traveling carry-on only if you can do it. I find this just saves you from all kinds of extra stress or anxiety. No need to wait in line to check your bag at the airport, and not having to worry about your luggage making it to your destination, especially if you have connecting flights. And if you're new to this idea, don't worry, I've got you covered, because that's what my channel is all about. So I invite you to explore some of my other videos with practical tips about packing lighter. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
So I went ahead and I hit subscribe with her because I think that she's got some pretty good advice. I liked a lot of that advice. I did skip some things in this video, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to link this video. Grab your remote, because here it comes right now. Thank you for joining me for Travel Tuesday. The next video that I'm going to do is going to be Fun Friday, and I plan on reacting to this. I returned 100 lost suitcases to their owners. So come back on Friday to join me for that one. Here's her video, and here's one that YouTube thinks of mine that you would like. See you guys in the next video. Ciao!